Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, where today we will be taking a look at the M163 VADS, or the M163 Vulcan Air Defense System. And so straight away, you're probably wondering, why do we have an air defense system in World of Tanks? I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. I don't know how to answer that. I've got a theory, but that is a question for the devs. But really, I know as much about why these vehicles are in the game as you do. But it's here. So what can I say about the 163? Well, Wargaming have done a fantastic job of balancing this era to light. If you completed all 5 seasons from 2024, then this tank will be free for you today. If it's not free for you, then that means you weren't able to, or you didn't complete all the seasons from last year, so you don't have all 5 20% discounts stacked up. So whatever the price is for this tank, you'll just have to pay it should you want to get one of these. Okay, so the question is the 163 any good? The answer to that, in my opinion, is yes. This tank is perfectly balanced, in my opinion. It's not too fast, it's not too powerful, its concealment is perfect, and the really key part is that this gun will not shred everything by just RBRT. You can't just auto lock everything and shred them. That's not how this thing works. You can shred almost everything, but in order to get to the point of shredding, you really have to know what you're doing. You really have to work for it. This thing, I haven't played it long enough to have fought every tank in Era 2, but what I've experienced so far is that it can shred most things, but you have got to position yourself well. This thing is not a pay-to-win premium. It's good, but it's not too good. Alright, let's take a look at the stats of the 163 in a little bit more detail, and we'll compare it to the other dominant Era 2 light, the Weasel 1. The 163 has 81mm of pen on standard rounds and 45mm of pen on secondary. Standard rounds will do an average of 10 alpha per shot, while the secondary will do 20 alpha per shot. The Weasel, on the other hand, has 175mm of pen on standard rounds, 35mm on secondary. Primary will do an average of 25 alpha per shot, and secondary will do an average of 30 alpha per shot. So straight away, you can see there is a difference in gun performance. The 163 has 2,300 hit points, the Weasel has 2,200. The unboosted top speed of the 163 is 64 kilometers an hour, while the Weasel's is 75 kilometers an hour. View range of the 163 and Weasel are identical, coming in at 570 meters, and finally, the concealment of the 163 is 253 meters, while the Weasel's is 263 meters. So there you go. Those are the very high level stats, just after we shredded Armada. So again, like I mentioned, you're not going to shred everything, but if you get into the right situation and you position yourself well on the map, you play the map well, you can get yourself into a position where you can shred stuff. But that is not going to happen every time, which is a thumbs up from me anyway. So, on paper, the Weasel appears to be better, and truth be told, it is. The 163, however, is not going to be detrimental to the health of Era 2. You might think that at the moment because there are so many of them out there, but give it time, this thing will settle, and this thing is not a one-man army. It's not going to be damaging to Era 2. That's my prediction. In my opinion, I don't see that happening, but time will tell. The 163 cannot go wherever it wants. It can't do whatever it wants to anyone it wants. That's the limiting factor that this vehicle has, and that's why it requires skill. It requires patience. It requires vehicle knowledge. It requires map knowledge. It cannot shred any heavy or medium that it finds, and in fact the 163 will struggle to pen most heavies from the, well, it will struggle to pen heavies from the rear. I experienced this earlier today, shooting the rear of a T80, and I bounced. Thought, oh okay, right, I need to aim this shot. I need to aim for the lower part of the rear engine cover, and that's where I penned it. You've got to aim for the weak points with this vehicle, which is a good thing. It's good that we don't have another RBRT autocannon shredding everything in the game. That's a very, very good thing. The 163, when it goes up against lights and TDs and some mediums, it can do very well. But you do need to hit the right angles, and like I just mentioned, you have got to aim for those weak points. The gun does overheat, but it doesn't overheat too quickly. The overheat time is perfect for what this vehicle is. And the reason I say it's perfect is, in my opinion, now that I've played this vehicle, I can compare it to the GAU 8. The GAU 8 feels like it overheats really quickly. Too quickly. This thing though, the 163, it feels perfect. You don't have too much firepower, you've got just the right amount, and it feels really good. The concealment of the 163 does not provide the user with a crutch. Neither does the speed or the size of this vehicle. The 163 really requires you to know what you're doing. And if you do well in the 163, it's because you know what you're doing. If you struggle, then that's a skill issue, or you got weaseled. Hate to say it, but yes, that is what this vehicle is. This vehicle requires skill, and it doesn't always go well, as you're seeing right now. Alright, let's move on to the economy stats. It has a 55% silver boost, 20% commander XP boost, 10% tank XP boost, and a 4% free XP boost. The 20% crew XP boost is actually pretty good. It's not the 25% of other crew trainers, but it's still very good. So for a tank that's what we've got here, for those that completed the seasons, you've basically got yourself a crew trainer for free. Which, hey, that's not a bad thing in any way at all. That's a very, very good thing. And honestly, guys, I have not been this satisfied with a premium release in a very long time. Wargaming, in my opinion, they've done an outstanding job of balancing this vehicle. This is how balance is done in this game, right here. They've absolutely nailed it, and I'm so happy to be able to say that. Alright, that is all I've got for this video. So if you've enjoyed it, please leave it a like. If not, a dislike. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next one.